So hi everybody. Welcome to our cloud learning session. Today we're going to be covering Ansible, which is a configuration management tool used to push different configurations to the systems that you create if you're using Terraform or any other way. Maybe you're running ARM templates. Whichever way you're automating your infrastructure deployment, you would then want to configure those VMs that you're creating. Um, One of the coolest ways that I've seen it used is to set up your own Kubernetes environment instead of using like AKS, EKS. You can actually set up 4 different VMs with Terraform and then configure one to be a master and then the other 3 to be slaves, and then configure all of the different container runtime and your nodes, pods, and all of that on those VMs. Uh, I'm not at that point yet, so we're gonna do a project here, and it's a spin-off of a previous project that I worked on before, where I had created the web servers, and we just used Terraform that time, and then pushed the code into those VMs using user data. This is a way more sophisticated, structured way of doing that same thing, same process. So here we have our Terraform code, our Terraform directory, and I've already written all of that. So we have our private cloud, which consists of our VPC. We can just go into those repository directories, those files. So we got our subnets, our internet gateway, so our route tables, all of that, PVC. So we're able to communicate out to the internet. Uh, Next up, we created our actual web servers. And in this case, we're gonna be using an auto scale group again. Uh, it creates 3 different VMs. We also have it set up to talk to a load balancer. Load balancer has thickness turned on, so you're not jumping around different VMs. It tries to keep you on the same VM at all times unless for some reason one comes down. And in that case, our auto scale group will restart it or recreate it. Okay. Um, these are the different components of Terraform. We've went over all of this before, so we're not gonna dive too deep into that. So let's go ahead and run our code. Before we do that, do tmux. Perfect.
You on a Mac, right, Diz?
No, this is Windows.
Okay, this is Windows. Okay.
This is our Windows subsystem. What's it called
Okay.
exactly?
Let's just
Windows Linux subsystem.
okay.
Um, And this, I haven't tested any of this, so this might turn into a study, or what do you call it, troubleshooting video as well. So it should be fun. So let's do Terraform. Usually you do Terraform init, initiate, init, which we've already done previously. And then you would do a Terraform apply. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and do an auto proof. You can just complete that. Of course, as you know, you wouldn't want to do this in production unless you're absolutely sure of what it is applying. You would want to do a Terraform apply and then read through the manifest, see exactly what it's and confirm what it's applying before approving it. All right. So Ansible, the way Ansible works is actually pretty cool. So you have our YAML file here, and we actually need to rename it because we're not using Nginx anymore. We're going to be using HTTPD service instead. And both of those are web server services. Do almost the same thing.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go and look at that. And the way it runs off of YAML files, and it's structured in the name of the module, the task that you wanted to do. And here, the become true. If you're running anything that requires you to have higher permissions, you want to set that up to become true and pretty much becomes root for this module. Uh, I am very curious, and that's something that I'm gonna have to look into later on as far as how exactly does it gain permissions? Because it seems, I know you see, because it's agentless, as long as it has access to the system via SSH, it can go ahead and run pretty much any command. So it seems like a security risk in that sense. So become true. The host, I'll show you the inventory file later on. You're able to specify the IP addresses of the servers that it's going to be connecting to. And you're able to also differentiate, like you can have there's an inventory file that you can have all the IP addresses of all of your systems, and then you can split them up into sub IP addresses of say in this case web servers, and have it apply specific code just to those IP addresses in those subdirectories. All right. And pretty much here, we're going to be updating our package manager and then installing and starting our HTTPD service, installing Git, and then removing the default files that are usually in your var dash or slash www directory, and then cloning my repo of my web server. And this is just a JavaScript code of a website. It's very basic, and we just need it for testing purposes. And here it also, the update is in the case that your Git repo is already present, it will also update it to the latest version. All right, looks good. And here is our inventory file. And we'll need to actually segment this. And the way you segment it, we'll actually have to change it. These are my old IP addresses that I had previously. Have to change it. The way you segment this or create like subdirectories in here is brackets and whatever you want to name them. We're gonna do web servers. Then you would list all your IP addresses. And we're gonna grab our IP addresses. Our instances should be up at this point, but they're in the process of coming up. Grab their IP addresses. And that's something we can add later on, is for our Terraform to grab and output those IP addresses for you. Great. All right. Any questions so far?
So far, so good. No, just following along for right now. I'm gonna have to, do it myself and go slow.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm gonna create a repo of all of this so you can follow along through that documentation as well.
Okay,
To
thanks.
grab. Oh, so the fun part is I did not write down how to create those playbooks. Gonna learn that on the fly. And by the way, if you're looking for documentation on all of these different modules for Ansible, you come over to their official website and you can find the different modules. So the way you would usually run, and even before we go into this, this is the way you would run a playbook, but you can run each specific module separately. In those cases where you just want to update one thing, you don't want to run this whole playbook. Let's go ahead and I'll show you an example of this. You can use Ansible. And you'll need the path to your key. In my case, it is in threads, keys. And then you need your inventory file. And you can either run it against all of your inventory or specific inventory. In this case, will be our web servers. And
It does question. So
yeah,
using the option -I twice. So
oh,
you have it.
that's my apology. What is the option for our key? Is dash I? What is the option to the inventory?
I don't know, maybe Ansible -H gives us some options.
And what we can do is save this because I don't want to rewrite it. Just do help.
Hmm.
Then we can look at the remote user. We can just look at the man pages here. I is inventory. And one dash private key, actually, for the key.
Okay.
And thank you for catching that.
Yeah, no worries.
That servers. We want to do specific command here. I believe it's -A, right? Then we'll want to know our module. We're just going to use this one up here. The update our package list. Our module is going to be update cache. Or it's going to be apt. Our command for apt. It's going to be update cache. Yes. And we want to do it as root. Come. Should be good. Let's give it a shot. So we need to get in like our key. Let's see. Or does it not like our key? That's why. Because I forgot to add that .pem to the end of this, so it did not find our key. Let's try this again. Still doesn't like our key. See what happens if we try to connect. So keys do work. Check our other instances. Actually, get the IP from here. And that's what I meant. It's gonna end up being a troubleshooting session, which is fine. All our keys work. Let's see. What error is it giving us? Unreachable. Preds, red keys. Ah, okay. I see our issue. This is not where this is stored. Take a look at that. Still unreachable. As you can see here, it's trying to use my default key. It's not what we want.
Is it like a path issue? So it's trying to use your default keys.
Hmm?
It's not trying to use what you pointing to.
Yeah.
Maybe try the absolute path to see if it. I mean, it should really pick that up. Yeah.
Let's give that a shot. Yes. Should be home. Okay. Absolute path.
No.
Oh, then it's, I would say then it's the syntax. They have their own syntax. So let's go back to our main pages.
Okay.
-- private key file. See if we have any examples here. Browse environment. Not gonna give us any examples.
So this is the help. Maybe try man.
Yeah, this is
Ansible.
the main pages. This is main.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, there should be an example here.
You would think so. Here's private key -- private key. Oh, it looks like it has to be in quotes, right? That's what it looks like. So let's try that.
Okay.
Right? How do you like that? No.
No,
the key.
Question, where's that default? Is it, so you're saying it's trying to call a default password?
Yeah. And the default one is in our dash sh. Huh. Don't have a default. Where's it grabbing that from? Is it just the system?
Where you see that reference? I see a username and then at. I don't see,
Oh, hold up. Is
yeah,
that
I
our
don't,
issue?
yeah, I don't see it. It's almost like it's not even reading a key. It's just trying to
Oh,
SSH.
that's the issue. Good point. We're not specifying the user, and the user is specified with a -u, and our user is going to be Ubuntu.
Gotcha.
Okay, let's give that a shot. That's thinking. He's thinking. Good catch, Pat.
Hey, anytime. There you go. Sounds
All right.
happening.
So it was able to update our cache. And yeah, this pretty much means that it was able to do what it's supposed to do. So now that's how you would run a specific module by itself. And that's for the cases where the change that you're trying to make is very small. You would want to do this instead of running a whole playbook and running a whole bunch of other commands along with it. But if you do want to run a playbook, and it's pretty much the same exact command, except we're gonna specify our playbook here. And how do we specify the playbook? Rid of this because we don't need this. Playbook. We want to use our httpd .yaml. I believe this is correct. Gonna find out. Nope, we're wrong. So let's go back to our Ansible man pages. What did they have one for playbook? Ah, they do. Playbook. Ansible playbook. Should. Gonna be verbosity, and -k is gonna be the file -h. Which is the help. Ask pass. Have examples here? Of course not.
When you run this command, what happens? It just
So what we're trying to do is run our playbook, which is our httpd .yaml
Mhm.
against our web servers using these credentials to connect to those machines.
Yep.
Right.
And what happens when you run it? Does it throw an error?
No error, just it looks like I have it correct. Yeah, no error. Or did we get an error? Let's see.
What again?
It's saying that pretty much it just tells me that it's not the right syntax because it's giving us our help.
Yeah.
Where are we messing up? Inventory. Oh, so the inventory should be defined here. HTTPD. So that's defined in here. So I believe that's part of the reason why it's not running because we don't have to define what we're running against. check that. There we go. And here is gonna go through the different uh, modules that are in the YAML file, and
It
we can
said no
actually
hosts matched.
no host match, no inventory was parsed, only no host matched web servers. Okay, so hosts, web servers. That's not right.
It does.
Yeah.
Leslie had a good question in the chat. She she asked that this seems to work like Terraform. What's the benefit over Terraform?
Uh,
If there is any. I mean, I have an
yeah.
answer to that, but I'll let you I'll let you take a
Yeah,
bite.
so the difference with this is it's a lot more structured and you can keep track of exactly what you're doing a lot easier. Like anybody can read this. Update package manager. Uh, so like if say for example you're in an organization where you're being audited by somebody that doesn't necessarily know code, they can see this, look at this, and actually understand what's happening. Uh, if we run it through Terraform, you just have the code there. It may not be it's not as user friendly in that sense. Uh, I think that's the best bet, the biggest benefit is the documentation aspect of it. Also, it's a lot more granular. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thanks for putting me on blast there, but
No,
I'm
you.
just joking. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. Yeah, it does answer my question somewhat. I just wonder if it lends itself to all the different other programs that Terraform seems to be able to pull together.
Right.
Like I can see AWS, and I think the last time you worked with other programs, and maybe I'm not asking the question right, but is it like compatible with so many other things that Terraform seems to be able to do? Is it
Yeah,
as flexible, I guess?
they're meant to be used hand in hand. You're supposed to use
Okay.
your Terraform to spin up the infrastructure,
Hmm.
and Ansible is more of the configuration management for each individual VM, virtual
Oh,
machine.
okay. Okay. I get it
Yeah,
now.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why to me personally, I never compare these tools because someone who's very experienced with Terraform may be able to do all of this from a Terraform, right? But to Des' point about readability, that may be a reason why you go with this. But they're all just about the same, in my opinion. The better you become with one or two, it's just good for you, right? So
yep,
yeah, at the end of the day, they all have the same objectives to to deploy infrastructure. So be good.
Is there a thing like where people say, yeah, we're a Terraform shop, so we use this here versus Ansible, or do people expect you to know how to do both so you can navigate between different things?
yeah, yeah. It's gonna be on case by case. Because like a lot of these organizations, they've been working with a system for a long time. They have a lot of documentation. They're gonna want
Mm.
you to work within that system, and
Yeah,
you might get another organization that they wanna innovate. They haven't worked with any kind of configuration management or CI any kind of infrastructure as code system, and they're looking for you to guide them what you want to use, and then you might come in and like, hey, Terraform is pretty simple. Anybody can read it. It's very easy to pick up. Or you might use another system yeah, all of these cloud providers, they also have their own way that you can automate. I
Right.
usually work in Azure, so I know they use ARM templates. So like they might want you to use that. There's also, as far as Ansible, there's other open source programs that do the same thing, like Puppet and Chef. My understanding, those aren't as user friendly because they use Ruby code, which is
Mm.
most people do not know what Ruby is and have never touched it. And the ramp up time for your organization to learn that whole code is going to be a lot more. While Ansible is super straightforward. It uses YAML, which nowadays a lot of different programs use YAML YAML file systems. So
Mhm.
it's all gonna be dependent on the organization.
Okay. Yeah, because I keep wondering to myself also, why can't you do all this within AWS? But I get it. I mean, it might be more user friendly to do something like Ansible or Readable.
I
Um,
when you say that, let me ask you a follow-up question on that. When you say that, do you mean
sure.
like actually going on each VM and configuring all of this?
Yeah, essentially,
Yeah,
and then
okay.
and then automate it within the Lambda functions or whatever program.
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think like yeah, I mean, and you hit it on the spot. Like if you're able to automate this in a function,
Hmm.
that works as well. It does the same, it accomplishes the same goal. The goal is not to have to log into each VM and configure each one manually, because
Mm-hmm.
like here we only have 3 VMs, but you gotta think some of these organizations, they have hundreds, thousands,
True.
tens of thousands sometimes.
Oh,
You're not gonna go through each VM and
that's
set that
true.
up. Then you can even look when you start getting into containers, it even becomes the scale becomes humongous. You have to at some point it is a must to be able to automate these systems, because you just won't have the manpower or the time to do each one at a time.
And what this does is it allows you to have standard code, right? So
That's true.
sometimes you work in an environment where there's 1,000 VMs, but they all have the same package, same image, same build. So why build one at a time when you can just have a simple template that's going to be deployed over 1,000 things? So that, that's what it does. Is really keep you clean, have a single source of truth instead of having multiple things that different people are going in doing different things. And then after a while, it's a problem because everything is different. I mean, that happens a lot with network engineers because traditionally they go into the box, do the configuration. And what happens sometimes, you run into these things that are called booby traps, right? Somebody put a band-aid to fix something, you go in there, it's not clear enough, and boom, right? You blow up something, cause an outage or whatever, because you have this group of devices that should be doing the same thing, but they're different because people
Mm-hmm.
are touching them, doing different things. Yeah. So this stuff, it helps you keep yourself kind of clean in a way. That's what they call the configuration management tools, I guess. It helps you just have a single source of truth and manage it that way better, opposed to you know.
Well, that's what I was thinking, and there's some of that in AWS too, but I guess it's not at necessarily at the scale that you're talking about, because there's auto scaling group, and things like that you can do within AWS, but maybe not in the hundreds or
Oh,
thousands.
you should. I mean, well, I guess I see what you're saying. So yeah, you have like some managed service that allows you to scale, but like in terms of you managing an infrastructure, yes, the code, you want to build something that allows you to quickly, because let's say, for example, just a VPC, maybe you have VPCs, you work, it depends on the shop too.
Hmm.
So I look at these as just tools, right? So, and again, you as a tech, you may have certain skill, right? Maybe let's say you're good at Terraform, and that's it. You're just good at that. You can build anything with Terraform. Now, if you're hunting for like jobs out there, you're not gonna go for someone who wants you to do Terraform, Ansible, wants you to learn everything, right? You may want to go just for job specific shops that say, "Hey, you good at Terraform? We want you." So it's, to me, that's how I see it. But if you're in a shop where they're using everything, well, so be it, right? So if you're good at Terraform, you're just the person they're gonna come to for Terraform. Ansible, they'll go for somebody else, right? So
Right, right.
yeah, but all these things at the end of the day, they kind of do the same thing. So it depends on the level of expertise someone has with the tool. and what they can do. So usually that dictates right where they want to go and work and that kind of stuff. At the end of the day, you just want to be good at this stuff. That's it. If it's one, it's one. If it's multiple ones, good for you, right? The more the better. But if you can be good at one, yeah, so it's already good enough.
It seems like that's a higher level of programming skill needed for Terraform, though.
Yeah, it depends how you
Right.
see it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Terraform is not really code, to be honest. It's a configuration management tool. It just it has its own formatting. It's not coding, right? So for example, Terraform is Terraform. You can't go in there and try to change whatever it does. Now, coding, let's say you pick up Python, well, you can do whatever. You can actually write some code in Python that will run Terraform and run Ansible and do some other things, right? Because that programming allows you to stitch things together. But if you're just working within the tool itself, you're going to have limitations because every tool have their own limitations. They're not built to cover everything. That's why, to me, I would say, there's no one tool can solve all problems, right? So you kind of need to be a little diverse. This is why I think, to me, the best position to be is, hey, I know how to use a configuration manager tool and I know how to code, because that coding skill is going to allow you to do a lot more things than a tool allows you to do, so yeah. The key is you don't want to be overwhelmed, because a lot of these companies, a lot of this job description, sometimes it's like, really, and to be honest, some of them don't even have a guy in that shop that knows all that stuff they're asking for. To be honest, it's a wish list.
It's a shopping list. Yeah, it's a shopping list.
And if you think about it, they're treating employees as it is a commodity at the end of the day, and they're trying to get somebody that's going to come in and do as much of what they need to get done to make a profit. So, yeah, if they can't get everything, like, they're going to settle for something.
So it's good to at least know one or the other and be very, very comfortable with Ansible or Terraform.
Yeah. I think the approach that a lot of people take is like the upside down T, where you have some kind of knowledge and you've touched a lot of the systems, but you have your bread and butter system. Like, you're a Linux guy, you know everything about Linux, or maybe you're a Terraform automation person, and that's the leg of the T. You're gonna have a lot of knowledge in one system, and then have a broad knowledge in everything else.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm seeing that more and more. I do wonder about security that goes along with this, though. Is there any like security protocols that help you, that are more enhanced in Terraform versus like Ansible or anything? Or basically you got good security, it's gonna work regardless.
Well, security is usually outside. So, funny thing is, a lot of shops, you coming in, you have your skill, but there's a security team that's going to say, hey, your Ansible, when you're doing Ansible, you're going to use this user. And this user has limited access, right? Maybe your user can only create infrastructure things, but cannot create database, cannot create, you see what I mean? So the security is usually outside, but is controlling what's happening in the environment. So at least from you still got to use good practice, the security practice, right? You want to make sure your code is not accessible by anybody. No one can just change it. There's all these things. But you just writing the infrastructure code. At the end of the day, you writing it with a security mindset, of course, but there's already most times there's a security team there that's going to govern that security, right? Before you even put your code in a repo, they're going to check it. You're going to check it in. They're going to check every line. What are you doing? What is this Ansible thing doing? Yeah, if they have questions, you got to answer that, speak to it. Why are you doing what you're doing before they even check it into the company's repo for somebody to use it. So yeah, there's a lot of security guardrails in a lot of places. So depends on the company. If it's a small shop, startup maybe, and you coming in as the main person, well, then a lot of weight is on you to provide that security model, right?
Yeah.
But if you're in a big shop where people have already established that, oh, you good. You just come in and do your thing. It depends on where you land. So yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Like last time we were talking about Terraform, I think, and he was like, "Yeah, this is a test module, and then it's like open, like anyone can come in if they know the URL." And I was like, "Oh my God!" But it is just a test module, so it's not like, and it's something you wanted to put on GitHub, I think. So it's something you do want open. But I was just thinking, what's best practice for security? Locking down something like this? Is it easier with Terraform or Ansible? But you answered my question, so thank you.
No, good questions though. Good questions,
Yeah.
to be honest. This is good.
But yeah, this is my bad. Me being a Red Hat person, I thought every Linux distribution had HTTPD. That is not the case. So
Gotcha.
we're gonna learn how Nginx, and I believe Nginx works on a similar way. They use the same directories and everything, uh, but we're gonna find that out very quickly.
Cool.
Alright. So, and as far as our inventory, I don't know, were we writing this differently before? But you are able to pretty much point to your inventory file with a -i. So we don't have to define it inside of the actual configuration. So let's go
Nice.
ahead and run that one more time. I have tested the Nginx install, so that should work. Everything after that, we're gonna be learning it on the fly.
So it's gathering facts. Something changed.
You should be able to pull the Nginx repo and install it. Find out a second here.
So those instances, when they come up, do they have access to the internet?
That is yes. While we're
Gotcha.
doing that, while that's doing this thing. So part of that Terraform code that we ran earlier, it does create our security groups. And if we come over to security groups and Ansible security group right here, and our rules. As you can see here, we have our SSH open and our HTTP. So we should be able to do all of that. So we failed on cloning our repo. Let's see what it says here. Does it need a key? Nation is not an empty directory. Or www already exists. So that's why I had it deleting that directory. So we actually wanted to install in www and not create a var www. So I can hear. I want the destination. Is it because we didn't put a dash? Is that the reason? Let's try that. Hey, it's working pretty well. We're getting to the last step. Yeah, so while it's doing this thing, we can go over what our Terraform code creates. We're creating a security group. We're adding the key pair to our VMs, which we already have our key pair here, red keys. Then we're creating our auto scale group, web servers ASG, which then creates our 3 instances, and it's set up to scale from anywhere between 1 and 6, depending on the traffic. Right, let's see what we got. Already exists.
Yeah, the path is something.
Doesn't like that path. All right. So let's do this. Hyper CV. Um, once those VMs are created, it creates our target group that points to those VMs. Then creates the load balancer that then uses a listener that is forwarding traffic to that target group. And
Wait a minute, the
Right.
target group is the Ansible, right?
so the target group is, think about it of a collection of IP addresses, or in this case, the target group is said to be as instances.
Okay,
So
right, okay.
it's just a collection of the instances that we wanted to point to. And the way that it checks its health, in this case, it monitors port 80.
Mm-hmm.
And in the case that port 80 goes down, it will say this VM is no longer available. Let's go ahead and try to
Shut it
restart it
down.
or get rid of it and create a new one.
Okay.
All right, doesn't like this path is either. Permission denied this time.
Ooh.
Git clone. Is it permission denied from my repository is the question. Yes, so it's right in the command git clone. I GitHub. Bang. Let's take a look here. GitHub. Repositories. For WebCV. It is. Should be an open repo, right? Usually say the public. And code, it is using HTTPS. Yep, it should work. The problem is we don't have permissions to write on the server. So let's go ahead. Um, true. And I'm gonna erase this. No, that has to stay. Okay. So let's go with this. Let's try that. All right. While that runs, what else? Going over the target groups. So after it creates that load balancer, the load balancer is then pointing to my hosted zone, which is my deseret-projects.com, my domain. And it should create an Ansible A record right here, which posts to that load balancer. So we should be, once that's created, we should be able to access it through this domain, this website, web address. Yeah. Clone web server, repo, looks like it worked, right? Yep, looks like we're good. You ran through the whole playbook with no issues.
Yeah.
Let's see what we get. Again, I have not used, okay,
There you
so we're
go.
getting a connection, but it's not configured correctly. So let's jump onto the box and find out how Nginx works. Let's, so if we do ls/var ww, here it is. They clone it to a right directory. HTML. Find out where do we need to store. Okay, so looks like it has to be inside of that dash HTML. Okay, so let's see what happens if we move it here. Slash var. Well, we might as well just do mv slash var into slash var HTML. Add sudo var clear HTML. Okay. And I believe this index is what we're looking at. Oh, actually, yeah, I don't want to delete it. Move. Okay. Now I want to find out what system are we connected to. Because if you remember, we're only adjusting one of them. So the other ones will be different. 143. 143. So it should be this guy here. So let's go to its IP address specifically. Not found. 44 not found. Okay.
Is there something in the code that makes it go away?
What do you mean?
Like you spin up the VM and then spin it down?
No, okay. So this is it's connecting to the Nginx server,
Mm-hmm.
but our code is not in the right directory. That's what's going on.
Oh, okay.
So it's not reading the code. The HTML, the .html file is what it's not finding. Unless
Engine X itself.
yeah,
Okay.
Nginx is the web server, is
Mm-hmm.
the system that runs this. And it needs to find the right directory for the code that it's gonna use for the website. What I'm gonna do now, King, the contents of hyperweb, move it to www. Sudo /var www. Should see the HTML directory. All right, what do you see now, server? Ah, there we go. Okay, beautiful.
Got it.
And this is my like digital. It's not updated, so don't judge it. But this is like my digital passport, my digital CV, digital resume, whatever you want to call it. I'll update it at some point.
Good
But yeah,
job, David. Good job.
okay. So it does work
Yay.
similarly to what is it called? HTTPD. So now that we've got it to work on this machine, I want to get it to work in our Ansible configuration. So pretty much what we gotta do is that clone then needs to get so that means it didn't actually delete the contents of that directory, huh? Our HTML file was still there.
Mhm.
So here, page now,
Like
Nginx.
that, man. Cloud architect. That's right.
Oh, I never renamed it. Let's go ahead and do that right now. Demo. Next. All right, so we're failing to remove the default web server files here. This is failing. Why? HTTPD, because that's what, no, HTML. This is what we want to get rid of. Okay, and then we want to clone this. Yes. CV. Then after that, after it's cloned, we want to actually, how would we do this? I wonder if there's a way to clone just the content of a repo.
Oh, I thought that's what you were doing.
Well, it clones the whole repo, which means that the directory that it creates is this right here, /var www -webcv. We want to skip the -webcv and just have the content of -webcv in the www directory. So if I'm not sure if there's a way to just clone the content, but I know there's definitely a way that we can, once we have it, we can move the files. So let's find out the module to move those files. Do it that way.
So right now it's just doing the code. It's not actually putting the content in the GitHub.
In this case, it doesn't put anything into GitHub. It's pulling from my
Okay.
GitHub.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah. Duh. Okay. I see what.
So let's do this. Just add an extra step here. I hate this formatting. Name the content.
Hey, Des, what'd you do? Did you copy and paste it from somewhere?
I copied it straight from this directory, just this the above steps, and I'm just gonna rewrite it.
Yeah, so the formatting is all over the place. Where you can fix it if you do a set paste, so that way it pastes exactly as it is.
And what is a set paste?
So set paste is basically you know explicitly saying, hey, I want to paste what I'm copying, I want to paste it exactly as in the same format. Because you can see when you pasted it down there, it's like all the way to the right.
Mhm.
It must be that your default is probably got some indentation set up to it. That's why it's doing it all to the right.
So
But
here's the thing with this might be a thing with the WSL, the Ubuntu, the Windows subsystem Linux.
Mhm.
You don't get that right click and select paste as is, paste as without the formatting. Um, I can only as soon as you right click it, it wants to paste, and I think it's the way that I copy it because I'm copying it from here. I don't see any way to change how it pastes unless you have another way. Is there a key that you can enter?
yeah, you can force it. So if you
Okay.
do if you undo it, yeah.
Yep.
So where you copying from?
So I copied this right here.
Okay, so you copy from that, right? So you
Yep.
copy
So I just
that.
copied
So
it.
if you now what you can
I
do is
guess
type
actually, sorry.
type.
I just
Mhm.
realized, Pat, there's an easier way to do this. I can just do Shift V. I believe it's yank and come down here, paste. Yeah,
There you
there we
go.
go.
Yeah,
There we go.
easy.
Forgot about that. All right. So now let's rewrite this. So let's go here. We'll do command. Yeah. So how does it know that it's a bash command? I think there was a way to specify that we want to run it in bash. Doesn't really tell us. It's this simple. Yep. He likes that. Let me preemptively switch to another VM, see if it does it. Nope, did not like it. Tree permission denied. Oh, okay. We know the answer to that. No, so we should have permissions. Why did we get permissions denied? Need to run this as sudo. Oh, hold on. My bad. That's a different file that's giving us the error. One where we're removing the file. Oh, okay. This guy right here is giving us the error. Back down here and change this back. Okay. Index, Nginx. Okay. Get a whole bunch of errors. I want to go in here. That previous. Or leave everything here. Okay. All right. Jump back down here. Let's run that playbook. Stuff. All right, and then move the files, right? Ah, move can stat. Which file or directory? Okay. So our issue is our directory is being created in the wrong place. Oh, it's there. Should be good to just. This is probably the best one. This example we're trying to do.
Are you doing a change directory instead of a move?
No, we're still gonna do move. I think this is what we would do, the way we would have it. Move. Yeah. That looks right to me. So go ahead and try that. No errors. I like to see no errors. That's good. But at this point, are you guys getting the gist of how Ansible works?
Hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Yeah, yeah, I can see.
Yeah, it's a nice refresh.
Mm-hmm.
I remember playing with this, was it a couple years back or so, something like that, maybe longer than that actually.
Fantastic.
3 or 4 years ago.
Give me something good to look at. Ah, there we go. All right. Perfect. And if we, just to confirm, shall be jump onto this server, ls. This is the
So
one that
so
this
that
is
fix that
that
fix
fixed
was
everything. Yep.
gotcha.
This is the server that we have not touched. We haven't manually gotten onto it and adjusted any of the files where they're stored. As you can see here, all the files are in the right directory. And if you look up here, we are able to access our network load balancer via ansible.deseretprojects.com. And Yeah, it's able to load the site. So with this, it like it's not telling me exactly which VM. This we can find out actually. Let's do this.
You have to do the NS lookup.
And let's look up. I was gonna see. I guess I can do it that way, right? And let's look up and point to this website.
Yeah, you can do that. It's gonna resolve all the time a different IP. That's what it does. So
Look up.
To loop back.
Oh, so is it actually? Well, let me do it off of this machine.
Pat, could he inspect the console?
No, it's because I'm doing it on one of the machines that's part of that target group. Let's try that. Server. I just do a ping.
Try leaving the HTTPS on.
Trace. Oh. Doing Windows commands, huh?
Then you have to type trace route all the way out.
I think it's because I was using a Windows command in a Linux machine. Please. There we go. The 52.37, but yeah, so this should be the machine that we're connected to, right? We don't need to run the rest of this
yeah,
because it's gonna connect because we have sticky IP on. My machine pretty much is gonna grab my IP address and is gonna keep me locked to this box, which is one of our VMs. The 52.37 is with you. This guy. Oh.
Is
Oh,
this-
that's the load balancer, right?
yes, I think that's what that is. You're pointing to it, but the load balancer is probably doing some things where it's load balancing across the target. So
Yep.
you're not gonna see the target through IP, right? Because your target could be private. It didn't have to be public,
Yeah.
right? So your target could have been private, but your load balancer is a front end. So yeah.
Yeah. But either way, it is connected to one of the web servers through that
Yeah.
load balancer, and we're able to access it. We can actually go to each IP address specifically and access it that way as well. But yeah, man, that's the whole project, man. We got it all all working.
That's what's up.
Fantastic.
Let's go.
Any questions, guys?
Run the Ansible again, right? It shouldn't change nothing. So run
No.
it again because of
Exactly.
that item potency. Yeah, so that's a big one.
That's exactly what it is. It checks the status of your machine, and it's not gonna rerun the commands if it's already been done.
That's one of the big pluses about Ansible is that it's pretty cool. I mean, of course, Terraform does it too, but yeah, but that was kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. So we kind of just broke it actually. Um, so what happens in this case is you remove our HTML file, but you didn't remove the rest of that repository. So then it goes back to, it notices that the repository is different than what it was. And see what is local modification exists. Yeah, so interesting. We needed not to remove that HTML file.
It's
Well,
in the repo to remove.
well, Pat,
Right.
you're giving us something to fix.
What happened?
So
It's good.
So he runs this code again because it's the same directory that we created with this move command. It removes it again.
Yeah, there's some rules, right, to keep things out important. So there's certain things how you structure your code
Mhm.
that allows it to be that way. Yeah. So that's a problem. That's a bug, right?
Yep.
So that's a bug that needs to be looked at. Yeah.
But it gives it a new name too, though. So how you account for the new name with the move? Is that what you're trying to figure out?
Can you repeat that?
So it creates a whole new thing, right? A new VM and with a new address and all that. Is that what you're saying it's happening?
No, in this case,
No.
Ansible is not creating any VMs, is modifying the file systems on those VMs that we already have.
Oh, okay.
And what happened was in our last run, we deleted the original HTML file here.
Mhm.
So then we clone this repository and then we create inside of this repository, we have our own HTML file. So when we remove that file, this clone command no longer works because Git will not let you update this directory, this repository, because manual changes are being detected in that repository. Therefore, it's not out of sync. What is the specific name that they use? Let's go on to the machine. So we're on the
Asynchronous?
machine. Uh,
Mm. So it's a GitHub thing? It
yeah,
won't let you.
this is a Git thing. If we go over to ls cd /var w ls. You can see here our HTML file is gone. And if we do a git status, oh, okay.
Not a Git repository.
No, so we do cd into
LS on
and do a git status here. Dubious ownership of repository, git config, ls. Okay, so another problem. Instead of moving, we should copy.
Good.
Yeah. So we can fix this. Okay. And the PDF books for Ansible. Evelyn, I have not been. Yeah, Evelyn, I am gonna post this on YouTube at some point. And as far as PDF books, I'm my way of learning these systems is by using a combination of ChatGPT, Google, and original documentation. I find that that's the quickest way that I can learn, and then actually practicing, like actually using these skills that I'm learning, and not just reading about them. Okay, so let's clear everything. The RAM -rf. this the right format? I think so. Yes. Perfect. And let's go to the other machines as well. That'll work. For www star. Our Rust system is gonna be this guy, I believe, 34219. Perfect. All right. B, come down here. Instead of moving those files, we're gonna just copy them. B. Yeah, let's do that. Should be good. Everything else should be. Well, it's not gonna see this anymore. But this is the one that failed. This shouldn't fail now. Yep. Just see. Let's run there again. One thing I am worried about is having multiple of those directories. It might cause issues for Engine X. And if that is the case, we'll have to figure something out.
Would you have to do that copy and then remove thing?
Well, the issue is we don't want to remove it if we want to keep this idempotent. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Adam potency. No, you good? Yeah.
Close enough. Idempotent.
There you go. Look at that. It looks good. Green, green, green. No changes. Well,
Alright.
there's
The yellow's good. The yellow's good. The yellow means that it did make a change. That is not good. The red is terrible.
yeah.
All right, why are we failing here? TP is not recursive. Okay. I forget that CP, does that have to be recursive to copy directories? I guess so,
Hmm.
since it's giving us that
Hmm.
error.
Yeah. So yep.
Is it the big R or just the little R? Okay.
Little r.
Or-
And for any of you that don't know what recursive is, pretty much instead of just copying the parent directory, it has to copy all of the files that are lower in the hierarchy as well. So pretty much anything that's like a directory that has something in it and it's not just a file, you're gonna want to do it recursively when it comes to
Is it
copying.
because you used the star and you needed to get all of everything in there and not just one specific one?
Yeah, it's because I did the star and there's directors in it. It's not just files.
That's true.
All right, there we go. That worked out. Let's see if we're still working here. Brush. Okay, still good. And let's see if we can run it twice in a row and not have any issues. Fingers crossed. All right.
Yeah.
Should be our biggest hurdle right there. Okay, fantastic. So we're good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, let me jump on the
Awesome.
system here and let's see what's in here. So yeah, the reason why I checked it is because as you can see down there, it did make changes as far as it moved repo files. It looks like if there was changes detected, like it would try to move them. That's something I will test later on. So this is the question that crosses my mind when I see that. If you make changes to the Git repo where my code is stored for this website, will it know instinctively like, hey, there's been a change to this HTML file. Let me go ahead and update it, or is it gonna try to copy over it? How does that work? That's something I'll have to test later on. But as of right now, it does work. You can run it multiple times in a row, and it doesn't break. I mean that concludes pretty much everything we're trying to do. Anybody have any questions, any concerns as far as this code?
Okay, this might be a dumb question.
No such thing as dumb
So
questions.
if you are copying this every time, I do have those same questions you said about the HTML.
Mhm.
But I'll add a third one. Are you simply making new, I guess, spaces within GitHub every time you're doing this, or it's not necessarily overwriting
Mhm.
or anything else? Is it like making so many more of it?
Yeah, no, that's actually a good question, Leslie. Um, the what I'm noticing and what I'm hoping that because it's supposed to be an intuitive program, and what I'm hoping that is the when it did this copy, it knows the files that it's copying over, and then it is gonna compare them to the new files that it's copying and see if there's changes. When I see this here, though, it makes me think that it's not doing that, right? It makes me think that it's just writing over the old files. And if he sees that there's already a file with the same name, it just writes over it. That's what I'm assuming it's doing.
I mean,
Um,
it noticed there's changes though, so it knows there's changes.
but there was no changes. That's what I'm trying to say is
Oh, it's saying it's
we,
changed.
we
Oh,
ran
okay,
this code
okay, okay.
twice.
You're right.
When it's noticed that the same configuration, it will just write okay.
Hmm.
But when it's saying changed, it means that it actually did the play, which means that it did copy those files into this directory, which that makes me think that it just writes over what's already there. If it has the same name, it
Mm.
just writes over it. Uh,
Okay.
there's probably a way we could test this.
Let run it again. Let's see.
Yeah, we could run it again.
And then look into the file itself and to see, is there a timestamp?
Actually, good point. Good point. Let's do an ls-l
A. Oh,
slash oh no list. That's what we want. Slash var slash ww. Okay. So currently updated last 225 223. And that's not lining up with our current time, but that's okay. Just want to see if that time updates. Okay. So let's do that again. Yeah, so as you can see here, 229, 225. Some of these did not get updated, but most of them did. Looks like this guy did not get updated, which is, of course, that makes sense because it shouldn't be touching that one. Wondering if this is side of my repo. So let's do ls var w. That is in there. Okay. So pretty much everything except for this guy got updated. Uh,
yeah.
So yeah, that's exactly what it does. It just writes over the old files. And even actually, I bet you the reason why this didn't get updated is because it's a directory. The content of it, I bet you did get updated. Why did I put? I'm surprised it actually works that way. It did it. It took the double slash. Did not know that. MB direct dash L 20. So actually no, yeah, whatever is in here, it didn't update anything in here. That's funny. It's interesting. Wonder why this specific one looks. I mean, maybe the permissions. It's a permission thing. Why it didn't update those ones, but everything else just gets written over. So in the case that you are, say, for example, you have somebody that is writing the code for the website, somebody else wants to update the GitHub, you can run this and it will write over the old files and update the website.
The
Does that
problem is
answer?
that you don't actually have anything updating. So, I mean, I guess it's okay as long as you know that.
Well, I can actually show you an example of this. If we go over to hyperdev, suppose this is the directory, the repo that it's working out of. If I go, been a while since I worked in here, right?
Be
Actually,
on
in
the
index,
JS.
right? Yeah, there we go. It's under the index.
Okay.
So let's just change that. Edit.
Change the title.
Yep. So instead, we just erase the E there at the end. Commit. Test. So just committed that. Let's run the playbook again. Be very interesting how the git clone works in this case. Now, from what I was told, that update that we added to the end of that means that it should update if there's changes
Mm.
detected. Perfect. Okay, so it looks like it did update it. All right. So now if we come back to my
See
site,
what it's like.
brush. Okay. Div
Feel like that either.
changed. Let's go here. Let's actually look into what's going on inside of our index. Yeah.
Is it because you renamed it test and it's still looking for the index?
That's just the
Title.
title.
Yeah.
Title. Title would be, how do we find out the title? I don't think I actually changed this. I changed the title of the website.
Mm.
If we do inspect, style sheet, the index. Yeah, so as you can see here, it did update. Now, I only updated the title. I needed to update that inside the actual body here. See, I haven't worked in this in a while. I needed to update this right here to actually get it to remove this E.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's fine.
Yeah. You
But
don't want to remove all the E's, but
pretty
yeah,
much what we were testing for is the fact that it did update the code. And as you can see here, no, I'm hoping you guys can see it. It's now, it's missing an E in the title. Yeah.
Mhm.
So it is working. Let me, before I do forget, let me update that.
Yeah, you don't want to keep that in there.
Yeah, I'm gonna forget for sure. Yeah, commit changes. Typo. All right. Yeah, does that answer your question, Leslie?
Yep, it does. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm over here grilling you. It's like somebody else asked a question.
No, I need this. Like I'm trying to learn this stuff as well. I'm no expert. I just know a little bit here and there. And yeah, I mean we're all learning together. The gist of it is Ansible is a configuration management system that is used to configure each individual VM, and it's used usually hand in hand with Terraform, which Terraform you use to build up the infrastructure, and then you would use this to configure it. So uh, if anybody that is not part of this group, if anybody's watching this on YouTube, wants to come join us and grill me on these the different things that we're learning, or even if they have suggestions on what we can look into next, just leave a comment or reach out to me on LinkedIn, and we can do some work together. That's all.